Hello again, it's Mike Ferry. Welcome to part 2 of So You Want to Be a Speaker, Coach, etc. You know, I mentioned briefly in this first one that I did recently for you that you have to learn to deal with some unusual circumstances that will take place, sometimes not at your cause, sometimes at the cause of the facility or who introduces you, or there's so many things that can take place that are unusual, and you have to learn to respond. I have had probably as many embarrassing moments, self-caused, as anybody that's ever got up on a platform and spoken repetitively. Now remember, 7,000 plus times I've done presentations to an audience, 48 years, starting in June, I'll be in my 49th year. And one of the things that Sabrina and I talked about is she said, you know, maybe you should write a book about some of the funny experiences you've had. And I said, first I have to remember them all because there's been so many. But two things pop up in my mind that, you know, you're going to experience things that you're going to look back and say, I can't believe that took place. So one, I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's winter time, it's snowing, it's cold, and I'm at the airport for 2 o'clock in the afternoon for a short 1-hour flight to St. Louis. And then I'm going to rent a car and I'm going to drive into southern Illinois about 90 miles away and do a seminar there the next day. And I was excited about the one I had just completed and excited about the one I was going to do. So the pilot comes on after we get up in the air and said, our short 1-hour flight's going to be about 2 hour delayed. We're going to circle because the storm in St. Louis is pretty severe. So we have more time to rest and relax on the plane. We finally land instead of at 3 o'clock at 5 o'clock. And of course it's getting dark. And at that time, I think it's called Lambert Field in St. Louis, the car rental places were downstairs. So I go downstairs and I rent a car and I'm excited about the next day. And 90-mile drive isn't very far, although it is snowing outside. And I'm from Newport Beach, California at that time, not used to driving in the snow, as some of you can imagine. So I get the car and I drive up the ramp to leave the garage and the car stops. It's icy. And I slide straight back down. Well, there's a guy in a pickup truck watching this and rolls his window down. He's kind of laughing a little bit and he said, hey buddy, why don't I push you up the ramp? So this guy was kind enough to push me in the rental car up the ramp, and I negotiate and get on the freeway. And like I said, I've got 90 miles, and within about 10 miles of driving, it was what they call a whiteout, which I had never experienced, again, being from Newport Beach, California. And I noticed that I'm getting more tense and I'm driving slower and slower and slower, and I can't see the road, and I'm getting a little nervous, to be honest with you, because I don't know where I'm going. I can't see any exit signs. And I decided to put the wheels on those little white dots on the road so that would keep me on track. And I'm getting slower and slower and slower, and pretty soon I realize I'm hardly even moving because the snow is, you know, going this way. And all of a sudden, and I'm not exaggerating, there's a pound on my window. And I drop the window down about this far, and it's a police officer who's walking on the freeway next to me. And he looks at me, he goes, what are you doing? And I told him where I was trying to go. He said, the roads are closed, follow me. Now, I was driving so slow, the police officer was walking next to me. So he's flashing his light and he takes me up an off-ramp, and I go down about a block and he puts me in front of a fire station, and there were 5 or 6 other people like myself in the fire station, and they had cots set up and they served us a little dinner and, you know, some coffee, and we sat there and talked and then laid on the cots in our suits and ties and went to sleep. And I got to sleep in the fire station. Wasn't exactly what I was looking forward to. Well, of course, I call the person I'm supposed to speak to the next day, and of course he is livid that I'm stuck in this storm. And he's mad, and I'm going to tell everybody in the country not to hire you, and you're never going to get paid for this trip. And I said, I don't expect to get paid. I get up the next morning and I walk out, and of course the blue sky, the storm is gone, and my car is an ice cube. And I mean an ice cube. Well, there's a semi sitting here next to me, And of course, he runs his diesel engine all night, so his car is comfortable and soft, or his cab. And he says, you need some help? I said, well, it's an ice cube. I can't even get the door open. So he comes down with a little rubber hammer, and he's pounding on the side of my car. Can't even chip the ice. He said, where are you going? I said, I'm trying to get back to St. Louis. I can't get to my destination. Jump in, I'll take you back. So I rode in the back of a cab and got back to St. Louis and called the guy again and apologized. And he said, I'm going to tell everybody that I know never to hire Mike Ferry. Like I caused the storm to take place. Flew back to Newport Beach, California, nice weather, and moved on with my life. And he did tell everybody he knew not to hire Mike Ferry. But when I called people that I was prospecting to do seminars, and I told them the circumstance, they laughed with me, because how often have you slept on a cot in a fire department in a snowstorm? I was one of the 6 lucky people that did it that day. You're going to have embarrassing moments. You're going to have some tough times. You're going to have some unusual things take place. It's your ability to rebound. It's your ability to have short-term memory that's going to make you become a successful speaker or coach, if that's the goal. Thanks for watching. Part 3, we're going to share a couple more little fun stories, and maybe I can talk you into becoming better at being a speaker. Maybe I can talk you out of the whole idea. Either one's okay. You're going to make the decision. Thanks.